Hey everyone, welcome to MK Partners Let's Build, our very first live stream developing a product or app or component for Salesforce from the ground up. I'm Chris Stegall from MK Partners and all of our videos, and with us we have quite a few of MK Partners experts. Real quickly, before we get started, we will run down the line here and introduce ourselves. We'll tell you our names, what we do, and our favorite thing about Salesforce. So I'll go first. Again, I'm Chris. I am marketing graphics design over here at MK Partners. And my favorite thing about Salesforce, I think, is how configurable and customizable it is. You never really run into a problem that you can't solve by building exactly what you want to see inside the system. Moving down the list, Tom, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, I'm Tom, and I'm a developer here at MK Partners. One thing that I really enjoy working with Salesforce is building out Lightning Web components, be it from a small component to like a full-fledged app. Yeah, basically anything to do with developing in Salesforce.
Awesome. Tracy, good to see you.
Hi, nice to see you. I'm Tracy. I'm a consultant at MK Partners. And my favorite thing is really pushing the point and click to low code. So like doing the flows, seeing how far I can push it without having to get a dev involved. That's my favorite part of Salesforce.
Terrific. And Matt?
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer here at MK Partners. And my favorite thing is that we can start testing things out immediately. There's no spin up time or having to set up a server. We just have an idea and start building.
Great. And Jacqueline, aka Astro down there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think you're muted, Jacqueline. Let me
I'm so sorry. Take two. Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Paz. I'm a Salesforce consultant here at MK Partners. What I absolutely love about Salesforce is that there's just so many ways to achieve one purpose. There's like endless possibilities for solutions. So that's what I love about Salesforce.
Awesome. To give everyone a little structure for today, this is our first Let's Build live stream. The goal here really is to, from start to finish, show you how something for Salesforce gets built. In today's episode, we're going to brainstorm ideas for things that we'd like to see. In the next episode, we'll actually work on putting the pieces together that we come up with today. And in the final episode, we'll do testing and ship. So think of this as sort of a shrunk down version of the process we go through every day, the process that admins and developers around the world go through. Just really trying to give you some insight into how things work, how you can build in Salesforce, and try to get some of my pet projects built. So I think first up, we should probably brainstorm and talk about what our ideas are for what we would like to see. So I'm going to go ahead and start setting up a Google Doc here that everybody can join. And even with all of the preparation, I still lost my window, which is fine.
We all go through that every day, Chris. We lose our tabs and windows and blinks. That's part of the experience.
You feel our pain.
There we go. And the upside of doing this stuff live is that I don't have to do as much preparation work or stress. Mm-hmm. But my life still finds a way to throw hurdles at us. How's everyone's Friday going?
So far, so good. And yours?
Pretty good. Do you guys think you guys prefer a Google Doc or a Google Sheet for brainstorming?
A doc, and then we'll probably finalize it and onto a sheet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels more free form with the doc, where you have like more options.
Right, And what's great about Google Drive is it's highly compatible with Salesforce.
I wish I knew why it would not let me. Blank document. Go. Does anybody else want to take a shot at opening a document there? I think I may be running into issues with the fact that I'm the one doing the streaming.
Pro tip,
Okay.
if you open up your browser and just type in docs.new into Google Chrome, it'll actually start a brand new document.
I have already learned something.
Or
Yeah.
I have a blank Google Doc.
I think Chris got it. And I think you can use sheet.new or sheets.new for a new Google Sheet. There's a lot of hidden URLs that kind of improve things, make you more efficient.
Yeah, that's great. Let's share this with everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share this on a different screen so I don't put everybody's email addresses on the web.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that is sent. So you guys should see a little notification that you can join the doc now.
And I think there was another pro tip there that we didn't point out, that it's always great to have two screens, not just when you're doing a live stream like this or a video, but also when you're working in Salesforce, because then that's one screen that you can look at your requirements and another screen where you can make changes to Salesforce. And if you have a Google Sheet, you can copy and paste from it. And it goes a lot faster than having to switch back and forth between windows.
Yeah, I think the only downside to having multiple screens is I can't live without them now.
Mm-hmm.
So my laptop has essentially turned into a desktop because I can't move anywhere unless I want to take other screens with me.
Yeah.
Chris, I have a question from the general public. They're trying to access the video on YouTube, and it's saying it's restricted. Do you have any tips that we can send out to our friends?
Interesting. Let me take a look at that. And while I do that, feel free to, I don't know if you guys want to go down the list brainstorming or if you want to just all throw ideas into this doc and then we'll talk about them after. But I will pop over to YouTube and see if I can take care of the technical issues if you guys want to get started.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
All right, so I have the doc open as well. You should have got an email from Chris in there. And so let's just talk out loud and say some ideas of features that we'd like to see.
Okay. For me, I think something that's really helpful is a mapping tool where it has an interface, because a lot of times we have two objects and we have to map one to the other, and there's a lot of hunting and pecking going on. So if you can see two objects, left and right, and then be able to draw a line, a connector line between them, that to me would be a time saver. It would help the admins, and help the devs, because we have to pass that on to the devs.
Yeah, okay. So I'm taking notes on that. Good idea.
Yeah.
Any other suggestions?
You know that I am going to ask for a in-org Tamagotchi emotional support pet that I think could be a tool to drive adoption, but also because I really want cute stuff in my Salesforce org that I can feed and make me feel good about getting in there and getting work done.
Chris, I have to say I really, really like that idea, but what if this Tamagotchi could reflect a worker's level of productivity? So the health of the little Tamagotchi depends on what your role is, the metrics of your role. So like sales or billable hours. So if your manager gives you a goal, that's the level of health you need to maintain for your Tamagotchi by staying productive. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be pretty cool.
Yes.
So every time you make a phone call, you get a little treat you can give it or something?
Yeah, exactly. And if you attend like outside things outside of your role, like little company events, those are like little treats for your Tamagotchi that give it like a super health or something.
Very cool.
I would love.
Yes, go on.
Go ahead.
No,
I was gonna say I would love a Chrome extension that has all the little tips and tricks kind of built into it. So I know there are a lot of Chrome extensions out there already for Salesforce, but they're each unique and separate. And I would love one that just did everything. Like when we're on a screen and we have to check a bunch of checkboxes, it would let us select a bunch at one time. Or if we're on an object and we want to get straight to a specific area, I know now we have edit object, the top setup menu. But like if we wanted to go specifically to validation rules or edit the page layout or other areas, just being able to kind of dive deep into setup from a page would be great.
That's pretty cool. Would you be able to like see like the schema, like you can see like what the field API names are as well? Like
yeah, there's an extension out there that does that too. I think there's a couple. And so ideally someone would take all those great ideas that exist out there and put them into one Chrome extension so that we don't have to load up as many Chrome extensions into our browser.
Right. Yeah, because I know sometimes for me, being on the Chromebook, having so many extensions really affects my, like, going to the GoTo Live or a Zoom meeting. So I think that'd be interesting to have only one instead of having the 4 I have. So there's 3 ideas. We need 4 ideas because there's 4 of us, or 5 of us.
Sure.
Tom,
any ideas?
Got something up there. I know you
do. Let's see. It's something I discussed with coworkers as something like internal like collection of like solutions to issues that are common that we could all reference. I know Google is a great tool, but that can lead you down like another rabbit hole, and like a place where as a company, we could communicate or answer questions that other people might have and basically share our knowledge with each other. That way we're not independently, continuously seeking the same solutions on the web. If we had like because I'm sure admins and devs, we run into the same issues over time working in different projects. And I know we all have different specializations. So if someone has like more expertise in one area, basically creating like an internal place where we could, or even a public place where we could share our knowledge with how to solve these issues and have it well documented. I think that could be a cool
I love that. And I've already kind of started it with, we have an MKpedia page for the SFAs. So we're kind of doing that or building that up as things come along, like documenting it. So I think it's something that like, I was just thinking for our little team, but you're right. Like expanding that for the whole company would be really cool.
Right. Yeah, I kind of talked to like Mark about it, so I know that the SFAs kind of had some kind of discussions on something similar to this.
I know one more thing that I think I would use in terms of our responding to RFPs and RFIs, but I think other people might be able to use would be an app that pulls new bids and new postings out of the various procurement websites that we use. Probably have some workflow to screen things for keywords that we look for, like Salesforce or Agile or cloud computing, and automatically turn those into probably not opportunities, but probably leads. So then we can have people go in and actually qualify them. But it would save me having to click through a bunch of those different websites and having to manually sort through the pile to find the good ones.
Interesting.
That's a good one.
So should we go through each one and kind of give it a value of what we think is the most valuable and what we can accomplish during this live sessions?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I know it was my idea, but I'm going to throw a wrench into it. Working on a Chrome extension is outside of Salesforce. Obviously that's allowed, but it's probably not going to apply to as many people, and it would restrict how many of us can work on it too. So I think that we should table that one for another day.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. On the first one, mapping where you can see fields on two objects and then draw correlations, that's talking about integrating to a separate system and Salesforce. Is that right?
If you do that, or like for right now, I'm doing converting an object to another object in Salesforce. So I have to I have two Salesforce objects, and I have to find it on one object and find the corresponding field of the other object and then write that all out. So it could be an external system or internal Salesforce object. It's just using the API that Salesforce has to have a listing of two object fields and then be able to correlate how they map together.
Got it. That sounds helpful. Does anybody want to tell me why we can't make a emotional support pet?
I feel like for the time we have in the sessions, I feel like it's a little bit bigger than what we can accomplish. I think it's a great idea and I love it. I feel like it's a very full idea. I think it's going to take a lot more development time and design time. Right. So I just think that it's kind of out of scope for this environment.
I appreciate that because that is whatever the opposite of a backhanded compliment is. It's complimentary criticism. The idea is it would be a shame to underdo this idea and turn out something that was rushed instead of a perfect little pet.
It's true.
All right. Assume that the RFI RFP screener is a little too niche in terms of things that I want as opposed to things that would benefit everybody right off the bat. So I feel like I'm kind of leaning towards that mapping tool, but how's everybody else feeling?
Yeah, the mapping tool.
Seems good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess quick question. So Tracy, with the mapping tool, you're searching for a solution because you're currently to do these mappings. Do you have two windows open and it's just troublesome to navigate one object to the other, and you would just rather have something that is more efficient and inclusive and has everything you need on one screen? Is that kind of what you're searching for?
Yes. So right now, I have two screens open. Then I have a third screen where I have to actually enter the data in. So it's a 3-screen process, right? You have object A, object B, and then another window where you're putting the information in. So it'd be nice just to be able to have the two objects listed and just be able to correlate, either draw a line or drag and drop or something like that, where that kicks out a metadata file. So you don't have to do the extra step of actually writing anything down. And then that metadata file gets passed on to the devs. They can import that into the code and they don't have to worry about mapping on their side either.
I see. So right now it's just an issue of dealing with multiple screens. So you have one screen for one object, another, and then a third where you're actually compiling all the data and matching it?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
I just wanted to understand fully what the challenge we're trying to tackle with this solution here. But that makes sense. It seems like it definitely would be easier if it was all in one place.
Yeah, definitely.
So on the Google Doc there, I started, I made a little section for mapping tool. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the normal process here is getting an understanding of the way things currently work, and then getting an understanding of the way they would work ideally, and then all we have to do is fill in the delta between those two. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead under current process. Right now it's multiple screens, lots of back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just so I can show you if you want to see what the process is, if that helps people. I could show you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, let me get some stuff on my screen before I share my screen. Is there any data that I'm showing, Matt? Do you think that shouldn't be shown though when I do that? I just thought about that privacy issues.
I mean, are you showing from an actual client?
I was going to, but then I think I think I'll just show.
Yeah.
Not.
I wouldn't. I would open up a sheet and
Okay.
kind of, walk through the motion of what you do without actually showing real field names.
I thought so. Okay, let me just grab. That's why I asked these questions.
Smart.
Sorry, you guys can keep talking while I'm doing this, so it's not dead air.
I know that I have done this a lot too. When we get spreadsheets from clients, we often have to map from the spreadsheet. When we do integrations with outside systems, we have to map either from Salesforce to the objects or tables in the outside systems, and then vice versa from there in. And then often we'll even do like org to org migrations, where we're going to move data from a legacy org into a new one for various reasons, or even moving it from a table to another table. So sometimes our customers are using like a custom object for cases, let's say for tickets, and then they want to upgrade to Service Cloud. And so now they want all their old tickets to go into cases. And so having to do that. There's been a lot of times in the past where we've done this exercise. So I could see the value in having a streamlined user interface that allows us to do it quickly. And more importantly, like share it with the client so that way they can see it in an easy to read fashion. I feel like a lot of times we create these complex spreadsheets and say, okay, well, here's your mapping. And it's not much good if it's hard to look at.
Exactly. So I'm ready. My screen's ready to share. Chris, if you want to, I think you have to put it on the screen for us.
Yeah, I think I have the controls here. So
yeah. So this is just a blank spreadsheet. We start with. So you can see it has a legacy table, field, and field type, and then you have the object for Salesforce. So basically, you get the two screens, and you have to fill in what table it is, what field it is, type of field. Then you have to do the same thing for Salesforce, and that's where it kind of a lot of like typing, a lot of like hunting down like it's the right thing, giving notes. So having this set up where just having the two objects, it just makes it a lot easier. Where you just connect it, and then all this data gets generated in a metadata file. Is that helpful, or sorry?
Yeah, I think so.
So Tracy, the screen, when you come to this screen, you'll just type in the objects you're trying to map to each other.
Here, can you put up the shared whiteboard, Chris, and our kind of drawing?
Yeah.
That's probably helpful. Let me stop.
Get this pulled up.
Oh, I guess I need to pull it up on mine. Can you just send that link in the chat, please, so I can get to the thing? I realized I didn't have it open.
Link. Just sent it over to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me get that. Okay.
I did it in Google Chat as opposed to here.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you. Thank you. Let me copy that. I'm going to open that. 1 second. Okay.
Has anybody missed real whiteboards?
Yes.
Yes.
I have one on my. I have a mirror next to me, and I have a clear whiteboard. So I use it all the time. I'm always whiteboarding. It's so funny, all by myself. I'm just like planning things out. Okay, so let me just go ahead and. So you would have. Let me see if I get. So you would have a. Oh, hello. I'm in the wrong one. That's why. Okay. So you have. Why can you not? Okay. So you have field 1, and then you have fields like. Your fields would be like this, like listed. And then you take, let's see, let me try to change the color. As you can see. Then you'd have like a way of the That's not what I wanted to do, people. Live. This is live. So you just like you connect it like that. And you just say like that one goes to this one, and that goes like that one. So you just kind of connect them that way, and then it would produce the metadata table that was that spreadsheet where it has all the information that the devs need to actually write the mapping of the objects.
Okay, yeah, seeing it like that, I can really see how that would be a straightforward process, like use case, as opposed to having to put everything into an Excel doc just to keep track of it.
And so I think that works for 90+% of the cases. There are some situations though where, like, let's say we're going from Salesforce to something else, where in Salesforce we have first name and last name, and in the other place we have just full name, or vice versa. We're coming from full name to first name, last name. So I think it'd be nice to have some type of gear or pencil where we can do more than just the drag. We can say, yes, I want it to be, this field, but I actually want to do like a formula where I can say first name plus last name, or just the first 4 characters of the first name because it's the alias field, something like that.
That is cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that'd be really cool to have. Yeah, like the little notes kind of thing, like, like you said, like a little formula where you can have more control over the mapping instead of just straight dragging, connecting.
Yeah. Turns out that my handwriting is even worse on a computer.
Who knew? I thought
this is a turtle.
I thought it was a turtle.
This is a gear.
Like, why is there a turtle?
Yeah, it's a gear, not a turtle or a sun.
I thought it was a sun. Yeah.
I mean, we could use a sun instead of a gear and just hope that everyone follows suit and changes the iconography. Yeah. This says additional options formula, but I'll do a better job of writing these out in the actual doc. Does anybody else have recommendations or see functionality they'd like to see in here?
Well, I think I'd just like to follow up on what Matt said. So, Matt, if I understand correctly, like what you're saying is if we're talking to another system and they use first and last name in one text, but Salesforce splits it up, this formula will tell you how to make that data fit in the other system.
Right. And it doesn't have to even be outside of Salesforce. Sometimes we create like a unique ID field inside Salesforce, and the unique ID for a person might be first name, last name, and zip code or street address, email. Yeah. And so we'd want to concatenate or join multiple fields on the left side to one field on the right side.
That actually just happened yesterday with one of my clients. We had to come up with an ID, and that's what we did. We concatenated in the field, so I think that's really useful.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, it would kind of be similar to the Salesforce like formula creator, I guess, where you could like add like totals for certain fields, I guess, and reference more than one field from the left to the right and create like a sum.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, I think, long-term ideal is if the same functionality we have in the formula field builder or workflow rule builder or validation rule builder, all those functions and the reference to the field so they don't have to type out the fields, I think that would be ideal. Short term for now, we can just type it in and we'll do a good job of typing it correctly. Right. But long term, it'd be nice to have a little field picker and function or operator picker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel like I'm kind of getting the sense we should open a sheet now and start throwing in features, and then we can label them, what we need for MVP and what we need for, or what we want to see down the road. Yeah. New.sheet, you think?
I think it's sheet.new.
Sheet.new, that would make more sense.
And there's a chance it's sheets plural. But we'll find
it is sheets. I think it's sheets.
Sheets plural, yeah, because I did docs plural, so I think that, Sheets.new.
Oh, it looks like both work.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
fascinating. Look at
Huh?
us.
Yeah, we just saved
Save the whole character.
17% on that URL.
Good math. Too bad you can't do .nu for new.
Mhm.
You're pushing it, Matt. You're pushing it.
All right, I dragged it off the screen so I can share it with you guys.
Yeah, I'm starting to think of
Well-
other ideas. So obviously we need a way to save this. Otherwise, all of our work goes away as soon as we're done. So we'll have to figure out, where we need to save it. Is it somewhere that just exports, or do we need to come back to it later even and be able to load them?
Well, yes. So my idea is like it exports to a metadata file. So a custom metadata field, which you can use to have push to devs, or you can use to load it back up to the mapping tool.
Yeah.
So you can import it and export it.
Yeah. I mean, one idea I had, if we were going to use the data loader, I think it's a .sdl file that the data loader uses.
Oh,
and it's just
MDL.
Yeah.
MDL, I think it is.
I think it's SDL, Salesforce Data Loader.
Okay.
Um,
You're right. Yes.
and it's a text file. It's carriage return per row. That's what delimits the row. And each row is basically just something equals something. So it's a field name or a column name equals, and then a field name. And I think it's all caps on the right side or something like that. Although that may just have to do with what spreadsheet I was using at the time. So we should figure out that format. But that would be nice, because then if we're working with the client, dragging and dropping together, or the client does it on their own even, they could just click save and then say, okay, here's my SDL file, here's my CSV, go load this for me.
Can we do it two ways? Like we have, because that's obviously very useful. But what about for the devs? Like, how would a dev use that file? So I wonder if you can choose create metadata file or mapping file.
Yeah.
I might be asking too much. I'm not sure.
No, I think that's a good idea, especially since if there is something like a formula field, I don't know if we could even do that in an SDL. So for the more complex scenarios, we're going to need a way to kind of describe what needs to occur.
I also think that we skipped one of the fun parts. What are we going to call this thing?
That's the hardest part.
The most fun part, right? Let's see. The Tracy mapper. No, I'm just kidding. Just joshing. I don't know. Well, what is it? It's a mapping tool. So something map like joining. I don't know. Joining fields.
Mapping, joining, fields.
Yeah.
Bridges.
Oh,
bridge.
Put that
I
on.
like it. The bridge. I like that.
What was that?
You said the bridge, right? Something about
bridges. We're talking about
connecting things, right?
connecting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Connecting is a good word. Connecting.
Yes.
I wonder if there's a way to call it something like Field Bridger, but make it sound even more like Phoebe Bridgers.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Field Bridger.
For now, I have I just called the Google Sheet mapping tool, but we will update that once we settle on a name.
Yes.
I figured the first column should be features and functionality. Does that seem right?
Definitely.
So feel free to run down column A there and add the features and functionality you'd like to see. I got drag and drop the relationships, ability to export. There was
Is it the formula?
cog with additional settings, formulas, etc. And while we're building that out, I'll go ahead and get a Trello board going as well, so we can start turning some of these into action items.
So export. I'm gonna just write an export that we're gonna have a metadata file. Oh, yes. Okay. SQL. Wow.
I think you had mentioned like drawing the line, Tracy, between two objects.
Yeah, I was just gonna put that in there, right? Oops. It's hard to type when everyone's watching.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on spelling right now.
I know. I'm like, oh. Does it have to be two fields, or what if you did like two fields went into one, like you were saying, Matt? But you could just draw two lines to it, and then it would know to concatenate it instead of having to do the formula.
Yeah, I mean, if you did it in the wrong order, you'd have to then
True.
start over. It'd be nice to,
Yeah, you're right.
Change it later if you realize that you needed to change it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could see like one issue with that. So like if you have two objects and you're mapping fields, if you were doing like implementing like a drag and drop, and you would just want it to like easily overwrite the other one. So like, hey, I want to map this field. That way, I would just replace it, and then it would have to decipher like if you're trying to join them or just like overwrite.
Well, I think like going back to the data loader, when you do a mapping, it makes you take it off the field, off the mapping before you can remap it. So I think you would have to like, if you want to remap something, you have to like delete the connection before you map it to something new.
Mm-hmm.
I'll write that in there.
And right now, is this, are we thinking this is a Lightning Web Component, or is this a something else?
I mean, Tom, unless you would disagree, I think typically we start building something as a Lightning Web Component. I mean, this could get bigger, and at that point we could, do something off-platform.
Right.
But I don't see any restrictions so far that we couldn't do this in LWC.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think LWC is a great place to start.
What else can we put on here? What else do we need to know? What about the formula? So this one, actually, the formula is not going to be for MVP, right? That's like more down the line.
Yeah, I would say that's not like phase one version. It's not version 0, but it should be pretty easy to add on once we have working functionality.
I'll just say similar to matching. I guess matching as close as possible.
Tracy, would it benefit you to have like some sort of preview functionality after dragging and dropping, or is that unnecessary because once all the lines are connected, it's clear what's connected to what?
Yeah, I think that's the visualization is just, that's what it is. It's nice and clean. I don't think you need a preview, in my opinion.
Okay. Great. Well, I think we have all of the features in there that we talked about. Does anybody have anything else they want to toss in there?
I mean, I would love it if we could have a big button on the top that says "I approve," and that way, when we share it with somebody, they could approve it, and then we would kind of record that. We don't need e-signature, but just like a status, maybe some metadata that says who created it, who last modified it, and then yes, it was approved by Chris on Friday.
I like that idea.
Okay, we'll call that stamp of approval.
I just call it like details of the file.
Is MVP priority going to be like a ranked list, or is it just going to be a check, uncheck?
Oh, I was gonna say yes or no.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks for cleaning up the file for us, Grace. I started writing in there. Yeah, so like I think everything should be fine for the MVP except for the formula fields. Maybe you want to just work on just doing the metadata field export first, then we can do the mapping on one or the other. Matt, what do you think about that? Like instead of having both export options for
Yeah.
the MVP?
Yeah, we can start with one. Yeah. I think that even the import isn't a requirement for MVP.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, perfect.
You know what? Let's break this one up. What was this one again about? Remove connection before changing it?
That's so if you draw lines but you wanted to say, oh, I made a mistake,
Yeah.
instead of just drawing another line and getting confused like who's connecting, you have to delete the connection before you connect the new matching.
Okay. Is that an MVP priority?
Well, I'd say it is because otherwise, if you drag a line to two different fields, you won't know how to map it, right?
I'm assuming in the MVP it basically would replace the first field with the second.
Oh, well, then that's fine. I was just trying to come up with an idea for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it is a good idea, but you know, if we want to keep things simple, basically every time you drag and drop, that's what you ended up doing. And if you made a mistake, now you have to. Oh, an undo function would be great.
Yeah.
But let's not make that MVP.
Slow the roll here, people. Slow the roll.
Yeah. Yeah, I just realized like if you make a mistake, it's so nice to be able to undo.
Yeah.
But from a code perspective, it's a little trickier. Okay. And then
that whiteboard app we were using,
Mm-hmm.
you would think is an undo button, but it is not. This is the undo button. This is a rotate button. Why?
That's funny.
So
sometimes things look better from a different perspective.
change your latitude.
Yeah. But I figure if they can use what's clearly an undo icon for rotate, then we can use a sun or a turtle for our cog.
I'm voting for the turtle. I don't know how the turtle got lost in this whole thing.
All right, so this is all. It looks like this is all broken out. Should we start tossing features into Trello and assigning them? And I'll add some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, you guys all have access to this board, I think. Yep. Yeah. know that I'll need to make an icon.
Definitely.
Unless, does one of you want to start building out this board since you have a little more experience in what you like to look at and how you like things broken out in Trello?
Jackie, do you want to do that?
I was going to say, yeah, I was just unmuting myself. Yeah, I can start to create the Trello board.
Yeah, I created a couple of the first items already. If you want to do maybe the column names and things like that, I'll just keep copying and pasting. Oh, I think you may have named the board.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm fixing that. There we go. Yeah.
And did we settle on a name?
No, not yet. We have
No, name is
No.
needed.
the turtle mapper. We have a little turtle icon. I'm just kidding. I like the turtle. I like the bridge, like I don't know, field bridge, or I don't know. Mapping. It has to be something snappy.
Like a turtle, a snapping turtle.
Exactly. There you see. It's meant to be. It's meant to be, people. The snapping turtle.
Oh, like field snapper, because kind of like when you drag and drop,
like it.
they're
Yes.
snapping into place.
Field snapper is really cool. The field snapper. What else we call it?
I like the field snapper.
I do too. Like, why would you even think about
Yeah.
anything else? The field snapper, I think, is a winner.
All right, I will write that down for remembering it. And if you're watching this and you're not familiar with Trello, this is kind of a good look at project management. It's something we use internally and for a lot of our clients. But what you see is, on the left-hand side, there's a column of items to do. This will let us assign them to people to, start doling out roles and responsibilities. We can add due dates and things like that. And then as they begin being worked on, they'll move into the in progress column. Once they are complete from the MVP standpoint, they'll be ready for review. We'll all be able to go look and make sure that it meets our expectations. And then once each component is finished, it'll move into this done column. So the result is kind of at a glance, you can always get a sense of the status of the project, the status of each individual component of the project, recognize where you may be having issues and falling behind, or see how you're holding up to schedule. So I think it's a really helpful way to visualize projects. I think it's called Kanban, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So, would it be helpful if I drew a mock-up of what the screen's going to look like, so you guys know, like, visually what we should?
Yeah.
Next time we know what we're building. Okay, so I'll go ahead and should we just add that as a task under the drag and drop relationship? I'll just go ahead and add a checklist of tasks.
Yeah, I think that would be a useful resource to kind of have an idea of what the product looks like, or screen.
And then Tom, will you need assets to use? Like, will you need me come up with an image of a cog and arrows to connect them, or is that all stuff that's going to happen in code?
Salesforce has a lot of built-in like icons. They have a lot of utility icons. So a lot of the icons that you see already in the Salesforce orgs, they're accessible to the devs to use. So I think for the most part, for like basic things like hogs and like edit stuff, it's already there. But we could maybe use some custom images in the future to make the app itself look better, I guess, in the end. So maybe we can reach out to you when we get to that point. But for MVP, I think we can stick to what's available.
I'm also going to add for the exporting file, or add obviously what we want the mapping to look like, so you can know how you're going to export it. So we're say sample file.
And Chris, if you go ahead and click on one of the to-do items, like drag and drop field relationships, I started going ahead and typing in kind of more verbose use case of what we're looking for. So just like click on, one of those. It should open up a little.
The description.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I also created some labels. I put green for MVP and red for bug. We're not going to have any bugs right now, but in the future we might. And there's some other colors that we could use too if we want to talk about whether it's a coding effort or difficult, easy, things like that. And then we can also put the screen mockups in here. So once Tracy has those mockups, she already put a task in there, so we'll be able to add that in here too. And so everything will kind of be contained in a single place.
Cool. And Tracy, if you need to hand those mockups, if you're just going to sketch them out, but you want something a little more digitally produced, feel free to reach out, because I can do it in Adobe XD or Photoshop or whatever's the best to hand over to Tom. But
I have some skills myself, but thank you. I'll reach out if I need some extra help.
Yeah. I feel like I get a few of those requests a week from around the company, and it's always nice to get something that is something that I can do successfully in a couple of minutes and go, yeah.
Yeah, instead of me spending 5 hours trying to get my pixel just right. Yeah, you're right. I'm actually going to reach out to you.
And then, probably not MVP because it takes a while with the reviews and security reviews and all that. But would this be App Exchange eventually?
Yeah, I definitely think it could be.
Okay. Because that means I can add some tasks and cards for the stuff that I know I'll need for App Exchange listings, like screenshots and bullet points and copy and all of that. So.
And a video on how to use it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the snapping turtle icon for the whole thing. Don't forget about our snapping turtle. Mm-hmm. I'm not letting go, people.
All right. Well, since we have 5 minutes left and it's going to be lunch after this, and I think people might have some meetings to jump to, figured now would be just a good time to sort of wrap up, debrief, talk about what we'll do next time, what we will do in between now and next time, and then say goodbye.
All right.
So thanks, everybody, for joining. If you're watching now or if you're watching in the future on a replay, thanks for taking this first step with us on building something. I think we're all excited about this mapping tool. Next time, we'll be doing the actual development and construction. So some of the items on this list, we'll probably go ahead and take care of ahead of time. I'll work on icons ahead of time and some of that graphic stuff. I guess really sort of up to you guys what you want to do on camera versus in between, because the more we can do on camera, the better, because it gives people more visibility. I just don't think they see me clicking in Illustrator and drawing stuff, because you've seen my drawing abilities. I lean really heavily on those tools they have in there.
Yeah.
But so I think for next time, we'll go through this Trello board, assign cards to everybody, and won't really have, I don't think we need to have expectations that anything will be done before next time, but I think we should be in a space where we know we'll be able to wrap them up on the next live stream. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think for me, like I'll do the mock-ups and the sample files for the next, so we can start building it. Because I think that taking the time to do a mock-up and then build it, I think it's just going to take some time away from the actual real meat of the stuff. I think it's more interesting. So I'll have that stuff done before our next live session.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'll be good because then we can walk through those mock-ups and ask you questions.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that would be hard to do, we can point that out and maybe talk about alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, sounds like a plan.
Cool. And yeah. And then I think that takes care of everything. I'll go ahead and say goodbye here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Once once we get all of this labeled and assigned to people, I'll probably take some screenshots and add a blog so you can see what's going on between now and then. When those mock-ups get finished by Tracy, I'll probably post those as well. So if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, keep your eyes peeled there because we're going to try to keep you tuned into this process all the way through. The next live stream will be next Friday at 11. So same place, same time, slightly different place. The link will be a little bit different, but it's up on the blog right now, and I'll go ahead and tweet about it again afterwards. Thank you guys all for your time. Tom, Tracy, Matt, Jacqueline, we could not do this without you, and I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be cool.
Thanks, Chris.
It is. Yeah, thank you all. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Bye.
All right. Everyone have a great lunch. Bye.